I literally just see it as me and my phone. We started TMI in 2021. One day we were on Instagram actually, and we were having an IG live, and we just were having, like, the banter was just so nice. We were friends then. We sat, we brainstormed, we came up with a name, with a theme, and we just started shooting. We had a few pillars. We were like, we want to talk about relationships, we want to talk about career, self, money, different things, sex being one of them. But we have now come to be known as the Sex Podcast. We talk for all the girls out there who would want to speak, who would want to ask questions but can't.
What is the one lesson you have learned about visibility? Welcome to Beyond the Brand, Moments That Made Us with me, Hannah G. This is a space where we speak to amazing people who are building brands of influence, of impact, and of income as well. Murugi Munyi is a content creator. She's an influencer. She is a podcast host. I also see her as an educator, especially on self-awareness. And I think we'll get into that story so that you tell us more about what you do. But welcome to Beyond the Brand.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
I am happy you came.
Yeah, I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you. It's so good to see you in person.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you look the same as online.
Right? I would say so.
Which is a beautiful thing.
Oh, yeah? Are there people who don't look the same as... Well, yeah, actually, yeah. I can imagine.
So I'm gonna serve you. Oh, you already got served over there. I'm gonna serve myself here some coffee, and then we get going with this conversation. And maybe even just ask you, was that a good introduction for you, or is there another way you would have wished I introduced you?
I would say it was good enough, but not the best.
Tell me more.
So, I don't know if it was in therapy that I learned this, but I remember someone just telling me how often we, especially as women, often introduce ourselves with our roles and the work that we do, as opposed to like who we are as people. So whenever I'm introducing myself, I will always include and say I'm a woman, I'm a wife, I'm a mom, I am a human being. Because ultimately, that's what I'm just a person. I'm a person. But what do? Is I do content creation. I'm a podcaster. I'm an entrepreneur and all these other things. But I don't know if they are who I am. But they are what I do. Yeah. So I guess they all contribute to making me who Murugi is.
Indeed, indeed. And thank you for sharing that. What are you building? What is all this?
What a question. I don't know, girl. I don't know what I'm building. I can't tell you.
No.
Maybe you can tell me. I like to explain to people that because I get the question often like, oh, how did you now think about this platform, and like becoming a content creator? I didn't. This is not something I'd never envisioned for my life. It's not that I woke up and I was like, kuna pesa huku. It wasn't like that at all. I was employed in a corporate job. I was a head of marketing at a firm, at a company. And I really loved it. And then I stumbled into young motherhood for a second time after not having been a mom for a while. And I remember during that season just feeling so lonely, wondering, are other women struggling with painful breastfeeding? Are other women having issues with sex after having a baby? Are other women also struggling with like their body image after giving birth? And that's when now I started my brand. Well, I opened the page Yummy Mommy, and it was more of like I didn't even think about it as content creation or influencing. I just thought about it as like a space to vent and to hopefully connect with other women specifically who are going through what I was going through. And really, social media, to me, that's what it is. It's like media where we're able to socialize with each other. And so that's why a lot of the content I started posting at that time was a lot to do with like motherhood, my struggles, and I found that being able to connect with people who are going through the same things as me made me feel less alone. I was like, okay, I'm here in Kilimani, maybe someone else is in Githurai, someone else is in Suji, where, but literally we are all going through the same struggle. The baby is not sleeping. The baby has outgrown the clothes you spent 5 million on in 2 minutes. Now we are all angry. Yeah, it was really nice to connect with other women. In that process, people just started following me. And I would say that's how my brand grew. People just started following me. Me, I had not even seen it. In fact, at that time, I didn't even think, this is like about 2018, I would say. towards the end of 2018. I hadn't even thought about it as like, oh, becoming a content creator and making this a job or building a brand. It just was me sharing my life. And people seemed to see value in that, and people followed me. And then at some point, a brand reached out to me and said, oh, we'll pay you 100,000 to post about this. And I was like, hiya, wow. So there's money also. You can just be sharing your life. In fact, it was almost unbelievable because I didn't feel like I was doing anything. I just felt like I'm just living, and I just happen to have my phone that I'm recording the things that I'm doing, and people are following me, and now someone wants to pay me to be part of my content. And that's this point at which I was like, okay, so maybe I can actually make it a thing. Maybe I can actually, it's something that I can, if I'm doing it and I enjoy it and it seems to be adding value, because so many women were like, thanks for making me feel less alone. Thanks for showing me this is normal. Thanks for, be opening up about this, because how many people are going to come and be like, oh, this is something I'm struggling with. And now I realize, okay, I can also make an income. I can also make money. And I guess it just grew from there. In fact, interestingly, when you reached out, it's only when I'm doing like interviews like this that I think about myself as a brand, because in my head, I'm just Murugi, and I just have my phone, and I just happen to show you people my life, and people just happen to follow me. Sometimes it's almost like unbelievable that I don't see it consciously the way maybe someone else on the outside sees it. So even when someone says, what are you building? I'm like, I'm just living. I'm just living. So I imagine that if I was to think about who is the brand or like what is the brand, it's just me as a person. I am just the brand.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Do you remember who asked you first, like the first woman to ask you or to connect with you? And what did they say? Was it about breastfeeding? Was it about hair? What was it about?
It was about breastfeeding, and that one always stands out to me because I remember that when I had my second born Mukeni, she's now 8. My son, I had him when I was 19. So I was a very young mom then. I didn't know what I was doing. How the child survived is by the grace of God, let me tell you. It's by the grace of God. But now when I had her, now I was married, at least I was like in a better kind of like home situation. And I think I had like, I don't know, delusional ideas of what motherhood looks like within the context of marriage, within the context of a home, within the context of like financial security. And I just imagine now you give birth the baby, you're in a nice hospital, and the breastfeeding will just come naturally because that's what they tell you. So you just put the baby there, you're going to love the baby. It's going to be so natural and easy. It's not.
No, it's not.
It's really not. And I remember really struggling because I had like flat nipples, inverted nipples actually.
I've heard about those.
Many people do not talk about. It's like, not all women look like this, by the way. Not all of them. Okay, some people actually is a struggle. And they're like, use this pulling thing and Steve what and now during that early time of her being born, I just felt so frustrated because I felt like unheard. I was just like, now when I go online, I didn't see any other Kenyan moms sharing those kinds of struggles. So then I was like, if I'm going through this, no like situation is unique to you. You're not the first one to ever go through anything. And I remember posting about that and just talking about how like it was after a month of trying to breastfeed her that I was like, this is not worth my mental health. And I was like, I'm putting her on formula. It sucks. That's not what I would have wanted, but it is what it is. And of course, with that came some judgment, and even just like comments from in-laws and like family members saying, "But have you tried? Have you tried harder?" As if a woman would not want to breastfeed her own child, Yeah. And I remember a woman reaching out to me and telling me how she had literally contemplated suicide because her husband just kept telling her how she's not a good enough mom. He made the wrong choice by marrying her. What kind of a woman can't breastfeed her kids and whatnot? And she felt so validated by me having shared that. And the best thing is that it wasn't just me who was sharing, because as I was sharing, now other people were also sharing, and I was like reposting pretty much, and someone is feeling freedom to share with me because it's like, the parasocial relationship of online, people really open up to me about many things, which sometimes I'm like, do you know, I could go and report you to the authorities. Yeah. But someone is comfortable to DM me things that perhaps they wouldn't even tell their sister or their mom. And of course, I'm not exposing who they are, but I'll share and be like, you can see these other 10 women are also going through that. Yeah. And I feel like that lady found a lot of healing from that whole breastfeeding thing. And she was one of many. The people who came and said, oh, I don't recognize my body after giving birth. I'm struggling with having sex with my husband after giving birth. We were told after 6 weeks you should be good to go. It's been 3 months. I don't feel ready. And then you start realizing, there are so many things that women are not talking about. Women are not being open about, or women are not even, the information was just not there.
It wasn't there.
That's the thing. And so that really, I would say, has been the benchmark of how I create content even now. I've realized that sometimes even the smallest thing which you think is not having an impact is having an impact. There's like times that someone will DM me and be like, oh, I've seen you wearing shorts, and you know what? It has given me so much confidence to wear shorts. And I have cellulite, and I never in my wildest dreams would have thought that I can wear shorts. But I saw you wearing it, and you were just like walking. And I was like, yeah, what rule said that women with cellulite shouldn't wear shorts, And for me, that's really what I feel like my impact is. And it's what I always keep top of mind whenever I'm creating content, I would say.
Yeah. That's beautiful. Why didn't you ask your mom or your older sibling or your auntie when you were going through your breast thingies? Why was social media the place? Oh, let me go and say something.
So I feel like with interpersonal relationships like which you have, anything you say to me is already laced with the dynamic of our existing relationship. There's a level of like plain basic honesty that I will tell a random person, which is why people go to therapy. This person who is not in any way invested in your life or in that child's life or in your marriage in a way that person can tell you that your mom won't tell you. Your mom has hopes and dreams. Maybe she's always imagined having a breastfed grandchild. Your sister may say something, may give you advice, but like she's cushioning your feelings maybe, and it's within the context of whatever relationship you have. With social media, I just feel like it could be anyone. Like when I walk on the street and then a random Mama Mboga says, hey, by then, YouTube. Like, in which world would I have been able to connect with someone like that if it was not for social media, Like, I value my interpersonal relationships, but at the same time, I know there's limits to it. Another thing, my mom is a reverend. So there are certain struggles or there are certain things which now I'm not going to be like, Mom, now sex has been difficult. Which position would you suggest we start with? I mean, that's not a conversation that's going to happen. But if I randomly put it somewhere, someone will be like, by the way, I decided, let's just start like this. In fact, we tried this technique.
Yeah.
That's helpful, It's not like now I'm putting myself in an awkward position of having to imagine what am I doing with my husband in my whatever. Funny enough, right now, almost 100,000 people view my stories. But when I'm creating the content in my very shameless way, I never see it as like 100,000 individual people. I literally just see it as me and my phone, me and my camera. And that's what enables me to shoot content the way that I shoot. Because if I start now imagining, okay, Hannah is the one who's watching it, I may never shoot anything. And I think that's why many content creators, especially the ones coming up right now, are filled with so much anxiety, so much like, who is watching, who is judging me, who cares? Literally, who cares? Me, just see it as it's me talking to my phone, and that's it. Where it lands and how it's received, it's outside my control.
Yeah, but has it always been like that?
Yes.
From the start?
From the start. I think...
Where did that confidence come from then?
I don't know. I think I was just born a confident child. I think it was just that. Well, my parents had a lot to do with it. They've always been extremely encouraging, extremely affirming. My dad has always said to us, we are 4 sisters, and I'm the second born. And he's just always telling us, girls, don't let anyone ever tell you can't do anything because you're a girl. He's always been extremely affirming of our choices, of our decisions, of our personalities, and just like loving us the way that we are. And my mom as well. They do tell me that from when I was young, like actually I grew up wanting to be a lawyer. Because from when I was really young, they used to tell me I was extremely argumentative. And even to this day, my husband can tell you, babe, if you're watching, but he can tell you I'm extremely argumentative. I am always ready. I'm ready for a fight. I'm like, so you're looking at me like that because you have something to say? No, let's say it. Let's get at it. I'm like that. I'm the kind of person who I can't sleep at the, let's talk about it tomorrow. Yeah. That's not the kind of person I am. And so they used to tell me all the time, yeah, you're going to be a lawyer. You're going to be a lawyer. Then, of course, they didn't know about content creation, that you can also talk on a podcast and make money. Insane. Yeah. Literally, we talk to make money. Yeah. Am I just sharing my opinion makes me money? Yeah. Very insane. So I grew up just knowing I want to be a lawyer. And then I think when I was in year 10 or 11, we had to go for work study. And that's when I was like, guy, so it's not like Suits. It's not like Boston Legal. It's like just sitting and a lot of paperwork. Oh, and that's when I changed my mind. So I ended up studying like international relations and other things, thinking that I was going to come and end up like working at the UN or whatever. But, unemployment in the country, was plaguing us as it still is today, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I was just like, maybe that nature of just like talking. I love talking. I love being in front of the camera. I love expressing myself verbally.
Yeah.
I really feel like my opinions are important and they should be heard by everyone. And that is literally why I do what I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So you are over here, you're creating content, and then the first brand deal comes, and they're paying you 100,000 shillings.
Yes.
What were you promoting for them?
It was, I remember it was Junction Mall, and they had an event, a mommy event. It was like a December time kind of thing. So they were bringing like different speakers and like vendors and different kinds of things, like mommy related stuff. So they just wanted me to promote and tell people to come to the event, and they wanted me to attend the event, which I was like, wow, how nice. That sounds fun. That sounds cool. It felt very aligned. And for me, it was just like, wow, that's a proof of concept. Like someone somewhere sat and thought, let me spend my 100,000 on, then I was Yummy Mommy, on Yummy Mommy. And for sure, I know that they saw value because we ended up working together like for 4 or 5 times after that. So yeah, that was a really great moment, I would say. And it unlocked something in my mind, because I think at that time, maybe the only creators I had seen like having content creation as a career were like Joy Kendi, I think Sharon Mundia, Nancy Mwai, and I think it was only them 3 actually. The rest, I can't remember who I used to adamantly follow, but those 3 I remember. And then I was just like, okay, so maybe it's possible for me. And I think that's the point where it just like switched in my mind, like, okay, this can be like a real job, like a real job. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is how many years ago?
That is like 2017. Was it 2017? Because 2018 is when I quit my job to now do it full time. So I would say this was 2017 when now I started doing that actively, because that's the year my daughter was born. Yeah. 2017.
Okay. So you get this deal, and well done, 100,000. Then what do you do? Do you decide, oh, this is going to be a business, I'm going to register it? Do you decide I'm going to do it more formally? Where do you go?
Actually, nothing changed. Absolutely nothing changed. I was just like, okay, clearly whatever I've been doing has worked. The problem is whenever people see something is working, why are you trying to now change things? Like, oh, let's grow. No, already what you were doing was working, and that's how that 100,000 came.
Keep going.
So yeah. So, and of course at that point I was like, I'm not going to quit my job. I was literally in corporate. I was earning way more than that. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to quit my job until, actually I said to myself, until the amount I'm earning from content creation is as much as what I am earning in my job, that's when I'm going to quit.
Yeah.
And so I remember that was like towards the end of 2017. So throughout 2018, I was still employed. I was a head of communication somewhere. Then I moved to being in marketing somewhere else. And I was still doing them both concurrently. But what I remember that year, that 2018, is that I realized you can do both, but you cannot be excellent at both. That's the thing. So it's like, because I'm a content creator, but if literally more than half of my day is being spent in an office, there's only so much content I can create. I mean, I've shown you my outfit. I've shown you these are my shoes. I've shown you I'm in a meeting. How many days in a row, guys? How many days in a row? And so I remember just doing both of them and trying to capture as much as I could. And that year, by the way, I still got some brand deals. I remember just thinking, imagine if I was only doing this morning to night, how much more I could make. And then I remember by that December, I think at that point, I was like, oh, actually, what I am getting in this month, in that particular month, that December, was as much as what my salary was. And so I just went and told my husband, babe, I want to quit my job. I want to try this benefit of being a woman. I wonder if a guy has this liberty to be able to do that.
I know.
Yeah. So I just told him, I really feel like I could be really good at this. And I feel like if I've been able to make this much this year, from doing it literally part-time, how much more can I do if I am doing it full-time? And it's like, you try. And I tried, and I never looked back. And I've never had a dry month since December 2018.
Amen. And I want to talk about that, the money and all. But I still want you to probably even just speak to somebody who wants to start in content creation, but more in entrepreneurship. Because I remember, even for me to step into entrepreneurship, I was employed, I was a banker. For me to step into entrepreneurship is because my husband could pay rent. So when I knew, now somebody can take care of my rent. Now I don't have to worry about rent and food. Let me step out. I felt comfortable. So do you want to say that, yes, please wait to make sure you can take care of your basics before you start something like this? Or what do you want to say?
I would say that yes, having the comfort of knowing that someone can pay the bills was a huge factor. Or let me not say huge factor, but was definitely a factor in me being able to quit and pursue this full time. However, there are many people who would be in that same situation who would still not have the courage to quit and pursue the dream. There are many people who actually are comfortable enough to be like, let me now try this one, but don't have enough self-belief to actually pursue it. This is the reality. So I can't even say that, oh, it's because my man was earning well that I was able to quit. It's actually because I was courageous enough to believe in my dream is why I did it. It was helpful that I had him there. However, I would say definitely, even if this is a dream for someone who's watching, content creation is one of those, it's like, I mean, there's a strategy to making it on content on like online, and I feel like anyone can do it. It's not like I'm a unicorn, why I made it online, you know what I mean? But at the same time, it's very in between. Sometimes you have the source and sometimes you don't. There are people who will pour millions into a platform and not be able to do what Kabilane has done by just doing. Do you know what I mean? So sometimes there's an element of it which is luck, and there's an element of it which is strategy and hard work. So because of that, and because you never know which direction it could go, I would definitely say have some sort of fallback plan. So by the time you're quitting, definitely know that at least for the next 6 months, you can afford to sustain yourself. You know, you can afford to pay your bills.
Yeah.
I mean, especially if you're a parent, definitely do not gamble with your kids' education and say, oh, I want to go and be an influencer. Don't do that. Another thing is that content creation and being an influencer rewards you when you're not looking for that reward. Like weight loss is like that also, by the way. When you are so focused on it like this, you find it's not there. But when you're just like, let me be just in the process and, you know, be part of the journey, just be in the journey, that's when you see the best results. And so with social media, if someone has just started, you became an influencer yesterday, today you're already like, Murugi, how do I make money? How do I get brands? You simply may not make it. And I feel like even when I started my platform, it's because I wasn't looking for the money is why I was able to grow like that. Because there's a level of authenticity you just simply will lack if you're only there for the money. I feel like the money comes if you're focused on what is my impact, what is my influence, or what am I trying to do? What new thing am I bringing to the space? How am I showing up authentically? You know, like how am I connecting with people? Because really social media pays you when you are connected with your audience.
Yep.
When brands come to pay me, they pay me for the relationship I have with my audience, because they know that when I say, guys, drink from this cup, it's the best cup I've ever seen, they know that people will trust. You know, they know that I'm not going to make you buy an ugly cup, you know? So, and it's that focusing on community building, focusing on, you know, connecting with your audience, building trust, building honesty, building a name for yourself. That's what brings the money. Focusing on the money.
Not really.
Not really.
They say the same thing about when you're looking for a baby. The baby doesn't come.
That has not been my experience. Every time I've been looking for a baby, the baby came in 1 to 2 months approximately. So, but anyway, everybody's journey is different.
Okay.
I was there with my legs in the air like this, making sure that everything goes where it's supposed to reach. But yeah, people's journeys are different.
So when you're looking for a baby, the baby comes.
It can come.
It can come.
Exactly. But maybe you see now it depends. Everyone's journey is different.
I hear you. I hear you. So how about then, because you touched on the cup, okay? How about if you're talking about this cup, must you love the cup? So where does passion for the thing you're talking about and the thing you're promoting and the thing you're creating content around, where does it come in?
Right. I would say I look at it in 2 ways. One, I only work with brands and only promote products that I genuinely like. I don't need to love everything. We don't all love all the things. Like you have outfits in your wardrobe, some of which you love and others are just like, I mean, I like it. I'm not going to give it away, but some days I can wear it, you know? So I'm passionate about doing or like working with brands that like, I like your products or I love your products, or it's something that I will ordinarily use, or it's something that I have in my house. In fact, my favorite kinds of brands to work with are like, it's something I'm already using. Nivea Dio, for example, I've been using Nivea Dio for like years and years and years, for as long as I can remember, for as long as I've been sweating, let me say. So when Nivea comes, it's like, oh, this is easy, because you don't even feel like I'm actually promoting something. It just feels like, oh, I just happen to be spraying this thing in my armpit, and you know, you can buy it if you want. It's really nice, you know. So there's that element. Then the other element is this is also a job. This is also my income. This is also how I pay my bills. So there is some leeway that I give to working with brands that might not, like, it might not be like I've ever used this product, but now that you approach me, you're offering me $1 million, and then I'm like, okay, fine, let me try your product. If I like it, I'll promote it. If I don't like it, sorry. I've experienced that once with like a brand, actually many times, but there was this one brand I remember, which was like, I think it was a vacuum cleaner, if I'm not wrong. But when they approached me, I had never heard of that vacuum cleaner. And I was like, ordinarily, that might not be something that I would pick out in a shelf somewhere. Mm-hmm. But now when they approached me and they talked about it, they're like, well, we really think it could add value. You know, you can vacuum your car and whatnot. So I tried it. And when I tried it, I loved it. And it added value to my life. Yeah. So then I was able to. And you'll find most of the brands will fall in a comfortable in between there. If it's something which I hate and I would never use, I will not advertise it. I just would not. So even if a brand approaches me and it's not something that I'm like, people will not know. For example, an Android phone company, I cannot work with because I'm always very loud about what is an Android, you guys. You know what I mean? I'm an iPhone person. And I'm just like, Androids are not phones, they are boxes. And so because I'm always saying that, no, if tomorrow I come and then I'm advertising.
We will not believe you.
Exactly. Yeah. It'll just be, I just suddenly now, after many years, I'm like, oh, here, guys, this is, no. You see, not even if you're offering me 5 million, that would be like almost like I'm trading off the trust my audience has in me for this, for this 5 million. Now 5 million in Asia haraka sana, by the way.
Yeah, you've caused a lot of Android people.
I'm so sorry. Yeah. If they're in this room, they should step out because I only prefer to be in the presence of iPhone users. Anyway, I'll let you stay for now.
How about core values though, Murugi? How about core values? Are there things for you probably are non-negotiable and you say, because this brand, this company promotes this, that doesn't align with me? How important is that?
It's extremely important. So one thing about me first, I'm very pro-women. I love women. I love working with women. In fact, in our podcast, our entire crew is women. Like my preference is always to work with women. Any brand which seems even remotely anti-women, I would never work with. I would just never work with. I am always on the side of women. We support women's rights and women's wrongs on this side of the chair. So I am always...
Where are we supporting women's wrongs?
I mean, because she's just a girl and she didn't mean to do it. Do you know what I mean? That's the thing. I'm just more likely, like in any situation, even if I walk in here and you're beating him with this thing, I'll just be like, but what did he do first? That would be my first question. What did he do first? That actually, because I'm just like, she can't just start beating him. Do you know what I mean? Then now, okay, maybe later on when we've established that, okay, fine, perhaps we had a meltdown and that's why we were beating. But my default is always to be on the side of the woman. And one thing about my platform, because I've interacted with so many women in so many different situations, women are going through a lot in this country, let me tell you. Women are going through a lot in relationships, in careers, in their families, in their bodies, just as people. Like, yeah, I just feel like the struggles that women have are very intensely unique, and they require a different level of support that men have enjoyed for years and years and years without having deserved it. Not that they don't deserve it, but it's just that women just need more support. That is what I've come to establish. So I'll always want to work with brands that support women. Any brands that have like women-led initiatives or it's a woman-owned business, I'm always pro that business. In terms of like, okay, what core values would a brand be like perpetuating that I wouldn't work with them? It's usually on a case-by-case basis. So if there's, for example, like... I don't know, maybe this company has been supporting a racist agenda or whatever, I obviously wouldn't. Yeah. But I wouldn't say that I have necessarily like a board that I've said if it's like this, because most things, again, like I said, really they operate in the gray. It would really just depend, like on a case-by-case basis. I'll be like, this one not really, this one maybe. There are some kinds of businesses or like products I prefer not to promote, like land, for example. Land is just something that I don't generally promote, simply because it's really difficult to know for sure. And I mean, many content creators have been in situations where people have spent their millions and then that company ends up, going down the drain. It's different when it's just a lipstick. Okay, so you are conned 2,000. But 2 million? Yeah. How am I? No.
Okay, makes sense.
Some of those is difficult. Other things that I try to avoid on my platform is like medical appeals, especially if it's not people that I know personally, because there's a time that I put up a medical appeal which ended up I couldn't establish whether it was real or not, but by the end I was like, I'm not sure enough to considering that I made people give money towards this thing, and so I just prefer not to post medical appeals, not to promote land. Everything else, it just depends. It really just depends.
Yeah. Do you think people should be picky?
100%. People should be picky about everything. You should be picky about what you spend your time on, what you spend your money on, who you marry, what you wear, which gym you go to. You should be picky about absolutely everything, because your life is one. So you literally need to be picky. I know sometimes when people enter the content creation space, it can be easy, especially at the beginning, just like any brand that comes, you take this one, you take this one, you take this one, because it's like you just want to build a name for yourself. And to some extent, I mean, okay, it's the hustle. It is a hustle, and it's like you're going to do it, but at what cost? If you can afford to be picky as you possibly can be. The bigger you grow, the more picky you need to be. Right now, I work with so many brands, but out of all the brands you see me working with, I've literally said no to more than double that amount. Like, sometimes it'll just be something small. Like I'm always talking on my platform about how I don't like flowers. And whenever someone buys me flowers, I'm just like, thank you. But it's like, I prefer not to receive flowers. So if a flower company comes and says, we'd love to advertise, it's like, I would love to advertise you, but no one is going to believe that, wow, I went to this flower shop and was smelling flowers and enjoyed it,
Makes sense.
Yeah. So definitely be picky if you want to build a genuine connection with your audience.
Thank you for sharing. And this is a lot of wisdom. Where is the wisdom coming from? Do you think it's experiences, or did you work with a coach? Did you work with a mentor? Where is that coming from?
I would say 100% it's been experience. I've never worked with a coach. I've never worked with a mentor. I've always wanted to have a mentor, but I've never been able to identify that this is a person who's living the way I want, a way I want to emulate. Although now I have. This literally last year is when I saw a lady online. I won't even say her name because I have such a girl crush on her. But now when I saw her, I was just like, wow, what a powerful embodiment of the kind of woman that I, want to be or aspire to be. So I will be reaching out to her to ask her to be my mentor. But I've never worked with a coach. A lot of this is just like learning on the job.
Trial and error.
And this is the thing with being like almost like a pioneer, or being seen as like an OG. You sort of just have to learn as you're going. And you make mistakes, of course. How many times have I been crucified on the internet? But we always rise stronger.
What's the biggest mistake probably you would say you have made in your journey? In this content creation journey?
Wow, biggest mistake. I would say that earlier on in my Yummy Mummy, when I was still Yummy Mummy, there are some elements of my home life and family life that I regret sharing publicly. I remember then I used to, before you've gone through any serious scandal on the internet, you're almost naive. You see your audience as your friends, and they're not your friends.
No,
if you're a content creator, I'm here to tell you, your audience are not your friends. They are this. I mean, a lot of them will support you and love you, but some of them, the same ones who are there supporting you, are the same ones who will also be there saying, you see, I've always known this one, by the way, anakwanga tu na kitu mbaya. They are those same ones. So before I understood that fully, and before I had gone through any of these online scandals, I really was naive about how some of the things that I talk about, or some of the things that I was saying, especially in just my family life, my marriage and things like that, how they would be perceived and how they could potentially be used as weapons. But after going through a number of storms, with every step, I guess I would say I learn, I get wiser. And I guess now it is what it is. Maybe if I had not gone through those things, then I would never have known. But if I could turn back time, I definitely would have given more thought to is this something that I want to post about? Is this something I want to share? Is this a part of my life that I want to be this publicized? Probably not. But again, like I mentioned, I didn't enter this with I'm going to be a creator and this is my strategy and this is how my brand will be. It was just, So, I mean, I'm happy for the people who are becoming creators now, who have the benefit of watching podcasts like this and being able to learn and being able to see, okay, do I want to really share about my kids? Do I want to, post this? Do I want to share about my partner, whatever? And hopefully they make better choices than I did.
Yeah. Thank you. What advice then for them when it comes to either being vulnerable, because you want to be vulnerable, you want to be authentic, but you don't want to broadcast. What advice then?
First of all, not everybody wants to be vulnerable. And also, you don't have to be vulnerable to grow on social media. Not everybody needs to be vulnerable. For example, a platform like this one, you don't necessarily have to be vulnerable and start telling us of your struggles. But people will still tune in and watch because of like the guests you have, of your moderation and whatnot. There are many different, would I say genres or different ways or styles of creating content. My style of creating content, unfortunately, just is based on my vulnerability and my openness, because my style of content is literally, I like to show how just like everyday life is interesting. You'd be surprised at what people find interesting. I'll just post a picture of like, I don't know, I'm brushing my teeth. Wow, so do you also do round like this? And then you go to the back, oh my gosh, my dentist said that I might need to whatever. These are all people saying this. Oh, at what age did you start brushing your kids' teeth? Oh, my child refuses to brush her teeth. How can I? Every small moment in your life is a moment for connection with someone else. And that's what content creation has shown me. It's like literally the tiniest things someone can connect with, Someone might watch your page and just be like, oh, you're just always applying lipstick, or just lip gloss. Like, how is that helping someone? That is someone's confidence booster, because they thought, that shade looks really pretty on her. Let me buy it. They buy it. They end up feeling the best they have ever felt in their life. Is that not impact? Is that not impact, That being said, that is my style of content. That is how I prefer to create, because for me, I don't like thinking of like content as being outside of me. I like just for it to be like, oh, this is where I am. Okay, I've taken a picture. This is my shoes, me and Hannah. I don't want it to be like, okay, now I've sat here and now I'm going to now create the content of the day. There's a space for that. I mean, my podcast is like that as well. But I would love for people to know that there are many different ways that they can create content. Food creators, for example, they don't have to be vulnerable. They don't have to be, they have to be authentic to some, extent, but they don't have to be like vulnerable. There are accounts that I follow on Instagram that are faceless accounts, really nice faceless accounts. And maybe they show, home care kind of thing, or they just show, stuff to do with cars. My husband's favorite account on Instagram is this guy who does like how many cabbages can fit in the boot of a car. Is it Earl something? Yeah. And his content is so interesting. And you see, he didn't really have to be vulnerable. He's just showing cars. But like, that's really, really interesting to some people. So I would say if someone is trying to get into content, think first about like what interests you, what excites you. Yeah. For me, I love watching vlog style content because I love following women in their journey. Like I can say, okay, this is how she's picking her outfits. Oh, this how, these are kind of snacks she packs for her kids after school. It gives me ideas for what snacks to, pack for my kids for school. So I create the kind of content I like to watch. But anyone could create the kind of content, whatever content they like to watch. There's an account on TikTok which is just about eggs, different kinds of eggs, boido, fry with onions and whatever. That account has hundreds of thousands of followers. Yes, and now even they have brand deals. I need to remember what that page is, but they even have brand deals of like a cooking oil company. That is content creation. And guess what? If that person had sat and just thought, I want to be a creator just like Murugi, they would never have been able to show us the love for eggs and how many different ways we can, enjoy eggs. So I would say you think first about what kind of content do you like? What are you passionate about? Because I always feel like everyone has something unique and interesting to bring to the table. Yes, there could be, 1,000 lifestyle influencers, but none of them is you. None of them is Murugi, and sometimes people ask me like, oh, what would happen if like your account is hacked or if Instagram is shut down? Murugi is still Murugi, even without her Instagram account. I still exist as me. I could exist as me in whatever space I'm in, it's not, Instagram is not what makes me Murugi Munyi. Me being me is what makes me Murugi Munyi.
Yeah, even having said that, when you started creating content, did you start on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube?
I started on Instagram, but I built my career mostly on YouTube. And YouTube is a really great platform for growing because one, it reaches a very international audience, or at least at that time, it was very international. This was pre-COVID. Can you believe there was a time pre-COVID? Insane. And that was like before TikTok got super, super famous. And YouTube for me, it felt very easy and nice. And what I do on my Instagram stories now is what I used to do on YouTube. But at some point when I now started growing my Instagram followership, I noticed that the YouTube content wasn't exciting me as much. One, the average social media consumer just started appreciating short form content a lot. And I noticed that for what I would be spending, having to do like a 40-minute YouTube video to earn 50,000 for an ad, I could literally do that in 3 minutes on
Instagram.
Instagram stories.
Yeah.
And I was just like, is it making sense for me? It really wasn't. So for me, it was like it's more the effort versus what I'm being able to get
Makes
out of
sense.
it. Yeah. And so Instagram, it's a much easier space for me to connect with people. YouTube is still really useful, and we use YouTube for our podcast, and it's really been an amazing space for our podcast growth. But it's just not for me right now. Now I love Instagram. Now I love TikTok. But again, social media is always changing. Who knows? Maybe there'll be a new platform tomorrow that we all move to.
For somebody who's starting now or very young in that journey, do you want to say Instagram or TikTok or YouTube? What would you say? Because you're the GOAT. Like you've been here for a minute.
It depends on the kind of content that you want to make. It depends. If it's like a podcast like this, obviously, whatever, YouTube is best. It's perfect. People are more likely to watch long form content on YouTube. However, if you are trying to do, I don't know, pranks, then obviously you'll go to TikTok, because that there is like your content can go viral very easily. It's very shareable and whatnot. If you are trying to build your business as a coach, or something very professional, Instagram is the place that you want to be. And there are a few others that I know people use. I've seen Substack is a platform that is really up and coming. I think is it a blogging platform? I think it's a blogging platform. Yeah, people are making blogging great again. So you see, if you're trying to be, something a bit more professional, you're trying to share, a lot more text format kind of like content, then it's there. It really depends on what kind of content you want. I will say, I would recommend that someone picks more than one platform. Do not focus on only one platform. It's a bit dangerous to focus on only one platform, especially if it's like your main income earner. So try to at least spread to at least two platforms, I would say. Yeah.
I see. Okay, thank you for sharing. So then now you go to YouTubing, and the reason you're stuck there is because of your podcast. What happened with your Yummy Mommy? Was it a rebrand? Was it evolving?
It's just there.
It's just there.
It's just there. The last time I uploaded a video was like 3 years ago, maybe, or 4 years ago. I think it was 2021, maybe 5 years ago. Damn, where does the time go? Yeah, and so I just stopped uploading.
Yeah,
so
what made you do the switch?
Well, okay, now between when I stopped uploading to when we started the podcast there was like 2 years in between there. And for podcasting, if it's a video podcast, you need to be on YouTube. So really, and that one, at least see with the podcast, I'm not shooting it myself. I'm not editing it myself. I'm not the one who's responsible for putting people's ads and to do what in there. It's like, it's someone else is doing it for me. So that one is like, it just makes sense as a platform. But like with Yummy Mommy, it's just there. One day people keep saying, oh, you should just come back for one last video, try. So I don't know. Life is long. Who knows what I might decide to do in even this year.
Do you still like it? Do you still like the Yummy Mommy, or did you just decide, let me just do it differently?
Actually, but it's still written. It's still Yummy Mommy. Is it still Yummy Mommy? I don't know. I think it's still, I don't even know. But with the podcast now, I didn't even think about it as like, oh, we are going back on YouTube. I was just thinking about it as like, it's just a podcast. So in fact, our primary platform, I would say, is Spotify, or like, the podcast platforms. It just so happens that we record videos and it goes on there, but I don't see them tied. They're not tied to each other at all. This one is just like its own independent, and this one came to exist as its own independent platform.
Yeah. And then you come on the podcasting, which you have a partner.
Lydia.
You're doing it with Lydia. Tell me about that. Yeah, what is that thing? What is that doing?
So we started TMI in 2022. I want to say, girl, I don't remember. I think 2021. Thank you. True fans. 2021. And the idea of that, again, was kind of like the way mine just sort of like it fell into our laps, because one day we were on Instagram actually, and we were having an IG live. And we just were having, like, the banter was just so nice. We were friends then. We weren't like as close as we are now. Now I would say we're like best friends. But then we're just like ordinary friends, and we had a live, and the way our ideas were bouncing off each other, the way we were being able to speak topic to topic, the way people were engaging with us. After the live, it was just a 1 hour thing. After the live, we were like, wow, we really could have like something here. This could be like significant. Sorry, it could be significant. And then around that same time, a company reached out to us. They were like podcast incubators, let me say. So they were like trying to start podcasting, is kind of new in Africa, kind of
Still
new
is,
in Kenya. It's like, it's sort of growing. And I think they had just gotten like new podcast equipment, and they were trying to just sort of like, lift up the podcasting space. So someone approached us and was like, we want to incubate some podcasts. We think you'd be really great in a podcast. People really like listening to you speak. Then I wasn't even a podcast fan. I literally do. Actually, even now, the only podcast I listen to is my own podcast. I want to tell you that it's only mine, and even mine, it's only once. It's not all the time because I'm like, I was there when I was recording. But yeah, so I was just like, okay, fine. That's funny. Just another opportunity to sit and talk.
Yeah.
I love to talk. Any opportunity to talk, I will grab it with two hands.
Yeah.
So we're like, okay, let's do it. And so we sat, we brainstormed, we came up with a name, with a theme, and we just started shooting.
Yeah.
And it just started growing again, just like with you see, this is why I tell you, social media, sometimes the thing has the source, so it doesn't have the source. It really is just that. There's an element of just, it could bang or it might not bang when it comes to things that you create online, because it's all dependent on how people receive it. And when we started, we had so the podcast, first of all, is called The Messy In Between, TMI. People think TMI stands for too much information, but it actually stands for The Messy In Between.
Wait, what?
Yes, I know. Shocking. Yeah. The Messy In Between. And basically, it's supposed to be like the messy in between is the period between when you turn 18 and when you figure life out, which is never. So so it's like, it's just, we are all in the messy in between. And so the podcast, the whole idea was just to discuss the messiness of our lives, the messiness of marriage, the messiness of parenting, the messiness of relationships and situationships and dealing with our bodies and families and, all those things. And we had a few pillars where we want to talk about relationships, we want to talk about career, self, money, different things, sex being one of them. But we have now come to be known as the Sex Podcast. By no doing of our own, honestly, but we noticed if we do episodes on all these topics, when we do the podcast on sex, that is the one that everybody is tuned into. That is the one that everyone is responding to. That's the one that people are so interested in, because they are basically, which other platform or podcast is talking about it as openly as we talk about it.
Yeah.
So for us, we saw it's like, there's clearly a gap there. Young women don't know where to go to talk about such things, or to get advice on such things, to get resources on things like contraception. Is this normal? How do I do this? My boyfriend has said this. What should I say? Those kinds of things, just like basic, everyday, relational, interpersonal things, which interestingly enough, everybody is going through. Everybody is doing it. People here, everyone is having sex. But now once you say it out loud, is when guys are like, guy, look at these women. Who do you think is watching? Who do you think is watching? One of my favorite clips on the internet is this clip by what's her name? Millie Odhiambo in Parliament. And she was like, everybody has sex. Even today I have had sex. Otherwise, why am I called Mrs. Mabona? I love that lady so much. And I was like, exactly.
So funny.
It's one of those things which is just like, everyone is just like, sex. But everyone still is doing it. Everyone is struggling with it, because the number of times I get a message from someone saying, I've always had painful sex. I thought it was painful for everyone. And we're like, no, it is not normal. Go to a doctor and get help. And they do. And it's like, that is one person's life that would never have been changed if you decided that you'd allow people to shame you into not talking about sex. And so really that's what drives us in TMI, is like, we literally just cannot afford to carry any shame with us. We talk for all the girls out there who would want to speak, who would want to ask questions, but can't ask questions and can't speak, And it's not only sex we talk about. I mean, we deal a lot with relationships, even like friendships, like female friendships. Those are really under attack in our day and age, man, female friendships. So that's also something that we talk about a lot. And the platform is unique. It's unique in the sense that it's not Murugi as Murugi, and it's not Lydia as Lydia. There are many things I say on TMI that I don't even come and start saying on my own platform. But on TMI, it's sort of just like, I don't know, it sort of quelches everything because of the fact that we are together and because we're having the conversation together. It doesn't have the vulgarity that one would imagine that it does. Yeah.
But is there a conversation you had, or somebody said, you interviewed somebody and you went home and you thought, oh my goodness, that was too much information?
Honestly, no, because I can't say what is too much information for someone, and someone cannot tell me what is too much information for me. Do you know what I mean? Some of the things you even read in the Bible, do you know how many vulgar things are in the Bible? Nobody is going to tell God, why did you allow this one to be put in Songs of Solomon? This one shouldn't have been there. That's too much information. No, because this is literally everybody's life. This is people's lives. there are some people who even the mention of marriage or talking about one's marriage is too much information. Does that mean we should never talk about marriage? No. If it's too much information for that person, then that person is not meant for the platform. And for me, sometimes when someone comes and they are talking about something which makes me uncomfortable, it's less about you are sharing too much information and more about perhaps this is just not for me. Perhaps I am triggered based off of what I feel comfortable with. And that's where things like unfollow come in, things like blocking come in, because it's not my place to start saying this is too much information. No. There are some people who are like, this is not enough information. Show us visuals, show us videos, which of course we're not going to do because we're not trying to be pornographic or anything, but it is what it is. Everyone's standard is different when it comes to sharing on the internet. That's what I would say.
How about the people who are very important to you, your husband, your mom, your dad? Do they ever say too much information?
So I don't think my parents know I have a podcast. Yeah, I don't think
know.
I don't. My mom has never mentioned it. I don't think she knows that I have TMI as a podcast. I've never spoken about it. Maybe, and she didn't really go on YouTube. She's on Instagram, but
doesn't she ask you how you make your money?
I mean, she knows because she follows me on Instagram. Me as Murugi Munyi, she follows me on Instagram, and I know she knows that I, advertise things and whatnot, but she's not like so active in it at like watching stories and like, at going to now watch reels or whatever. She's like a basic social media user.
Okay. I think dad an auntie has told her.
Yeah, or maybe even my dad does. But you know what? This is who I am. What I do, I'm 36. They are not going to disown me now. They're not. In fact, you see, this is the good thing about living authentically as yourself. It's like, it's who I am. What you see on the internet is a reflection of the person that I am, and they love me currently. Does me saying sex make you love me less? Does me talking about it in a way that perhaps you, and I've told you my mom is a reverend. She's a reverend, so you can understand we have very differing views when it comes to things like contraception, and those are conversations we have many times. I'm like, Mom, why didn't you ever tell us these things when we were growing up? And she's like, no, abstain. I'm like, nobody is abstaining. No one. All of these people, I was about to use vulgar language, but they are doing bad manners. And I keep telling her that she needs to stop thinking that is happening. There are some people who are abstaining, but from my experience right now, they are few. They are few and far between. And I keep telling her that I want to raise my daughters in a way that is forward thinking, that because I know you may find yourself in this kind of situation, I want you to be prepared. I want you to know what is right and wrong. I tell my son all the time, we talk about consent. When a girl says no, this is what it means. When she shows hesitation, you stop immediately. If I just choose to be there like, no, my son, and he's 15 right now. And when did I first have sex? When I was 15. So wouldn't I be dumb to bury my head in the sand and now just start imagining, oh, he's just a good boy. They're just good girls. They're going to, no, I refuse to exist like that. And I think there's an element of that, me standing in my power about what I believe in and what I like to talk about, that my parents also respect. My husband, the same. Although, I mean, sometimes it has caused some challenges, I could say. There are some times where like there's certain episodes we shoot that I just tell him, babe, this one don't watch. This one don't go and listen to this one. And he's a busy man, so it's not like he has time to just be sitting there playing, okay, this is what Murugi is talking about, or this is how she whatever. The challenges sometimes come when like someone else now comes and says like, hey, by the way, I saw your wife was whatever. But he's very, when it comes to his boundaries in terms of speaking with other people about me and my content, exactly. Okay, he's always very clear. He's like, he's not a content creator, I am. So even when people approach him and be like, oh wow, I'm a fan, can we take a picture? No. He's not going to take a picture with you. And I respect that because he respects me and what I do. And I respect also because he's in corporate and he, has a really great job. I wouldn't want to mess that up with him, but also my life is my life and what I stand for is what I stand for. And this is who I am. Yeah. And I let him be who he is. And I really appreciate that he lets me be who I am.
I like that. I like that. And you speak about him a lot. You have pictures with him. And what is the importance of having, because it seems like he supports what you do. He's cool with it.
Yeah.
What's the importance of having a spouse that supports what you do?
Wow. I would say it is probably one of the most important things, and not necessarily even just in content creation, but like literally in life. My mom always told us as we were growing up that your choice of who you marry is literally a life or death decision. That your partner could breathe life into your dreams,
Suck
breathe
it out.
life into everything that you're saying, you're doing. For him to be able to be like, babe, you quit your job. I know you can do it. I know that, of course, gave me confidence. Like, yeah, my man believes in me. I know if he thinks I can do it, of course I can do it, Or they can be the one who now brings death to your dreams, death to your ideas, death to your opinions. And what a horrible situation to be in.
Shame.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like literally, it is a life or death situation. And for me, I'm so grateful to God for him. I'm so grateful. And I'm also grateful that he does support me, but he does speak out sometimes when it's like he doesn't agree with things that I've said, things that I've done. And that's the reality of life. We cannot agree on everything. And there are some times where, let's say I've posted something that he's like, I'm not comfortable with that, delete it. And sometimes I will actually do it. The other times he'll be like, I'm not comfortable with that. And I'm like, sorry, it has nothing to do with you. This is about me, and I've decided I want to post it. And then sometimes we get in arguments or whatever, but there's always give and take. When you love someone and you trust that they have your best interest at heart, you're never thinking, this person is trying to sabotage me. This person is trying to, end my career. He's interested in me succeeding, and I'm interested in him succeeding. So nothing that anyone is doing or saying is for the sake of sabotage. I would say that's definitely... it's definitely been a fantastic journey with him. It's not been void of its challenges, for sure. It's not been void of its challenges.
How long have you been married?
These things of dates, Mercy. I think 9 years. We got married in 2017. Now we're in?
9 years, we're in 2026.
Oh, right. So we're celebrating 9 years in March.
Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. And I would say, for him, sometimes I look at him and I'm just like, whoa.
What did you get yourself into?
When you married me, I was just working as a management trainee. I was in corporate relations, just doing whatever. He would never have imagined this is the one who's going to now, I mean, sometimes when you go places, it's just like, Yani, there's nowhere in this Nairobi, in this Kenya, you can go and you're just there.
Sure.
No, it's hi Murugi. Oh my God. And of course, there's an element of that but again, that's life. Life is unpredictable.
Yes,
it's who knew that, that's what happened, but it's what has happened. Now we can't turn back time. I can't unfamous myself. So, yeah.
Thank you for sharing. I want to talk about your partnership with Lydia, even as we come to a conclusion for this one, because we've talked. It's almost an hour.
Seriously?
It's almost an hour.
Guys.
Yes, it is.
Is this
yes,
correct?
it is.
Okay.
It is very correct.
Wow.
Very correct. Your partnership with Lydia. How does that work? Because, I mean, you seem to be very successful in this. And of course, a lot of people will start their podcast and first they will end it very soon because challenges for the podcast.
Yeah.
But then, especially when you start it with somebody else, again, challenges with the partnership.
Right.
How's that working?
So I would say that there are a few factors when we started that give us some sort of edge that have allowed us to keep going for as long as we have and become and have the podcast be as successful as it is right now. One is we started the podcast when both our platforms were already very established, which is very different from like someone who just starts a podcast and you don't have your own platform that you are like springing from. So for us, because we already had our own platforms to spring from, we were not starting at zero. We were starting at somewhere. And that's always a factor that obviously I'm very aware of. Even when I start any business, I'm like, I know I'm not going to make zero sales because I have 500,000 followers. I know at least 1,000 people of that 500K are going to buy.
Yeah.
So it's like we're not starting at zero. So already we had that benefit, that, like advantage of having our platforms. Secondly, we already had that chemistry between the two of us. Her and I are very similar. We are different in many ways, but we are also very similar in many ways. So our similarities is one, we are both very ambitious. We are both very fast-paced people. If you operate with us in one day, you can get tired. People are always like, Murugi, how many hours do you have in a day? Oh, to me, in my head, I have like 1,000,000 hours. You'll see 1 minute, I was here at an event. Even now, before I came here, I was at an event, Upper Gigiri. And I was like, guys, I need to go. I need to be at this shoot. So we are always very fast-paced. Like we are moving, we are doing, we are hungry. We are hungry for growth. We are hungry for income. We are hungry for impact, And it's like, I always operate with like, this could be my last day on earth. And if it's my last day on earth, it's going
powerful.
to count.
That's
I'm
powerful.
going to make it count, It's like, I'm going to do what I wanted to do. I'm not going to be like, oh, maybe I'll do it next year. Who told you you're going to be here next year, Han? Who told you you're going to be here next year? And she's also very similar to me in that way. And then both of us have a very strong work ethic as well. I really do not like when this thing of like first time is a construct, how people just like operate anyhow. The event was starting at 5, you've shown up at 8. Me, I showed up at 5. 5 sharp, because literally for me, time is literally money. If I come here for this shoot at 4 because you guys told me to come at 4, but the shoot is starting at 6, what about my child who I promised I'll do homework with her? Now I'm not being able to do homework. And that for me, it's like, that's an investment. Even being with my children is an investment. It's an emotional investment that I'm making in their lives. It's a physical investment by being there with them and coloring with them, you see? So every moment that is not being well spent is being wasted. And she also is of a very similar mindset. When we started the podcast, we first of all signed a contract. You know, sometimes when you're friends, you might be like, we're just friends. No. When money is involved, always sign a contract. So we did sign a contract between the two of us.
That's good.
Both of us had very similar ideas with how we wanted to grow the podcast. So for both of us, it was kind of like, we'll put in money when we need to. And when money starts coming in, we'll prioritize it remaining in the podcast. Because for both of us, the podcast was not like our main income earner. In fact, at the beginning, it wasn't an income earner at all. You know, as you know. It was more of like, my income is going into the podcast.
100%.
Exactly. And then also because of the fact that now podcasting is a very new space. It's not like Instagram or like TikTok. The partnerships, it was kind of like a waiting game. You can't enter podcasting with like, I want to work with partners tomorrow. It is not going to happen. It is not going to happen. I think we got our first partner maybe like a year in. But since then, it's actually been pretty phenomenal because we've had very consistently partners that we work with, and especially very aligned partners, international ones. Even this way, I was telling you, YouTube has a very global audience. So you're able to work with more international brands than like, you know, Instagram or TikTok or whatever. Even those ones still have an international element, but with YouTube specifically, I just find that it's a lot easier to reach that international audience. So once we got that first partner, now at least the income, the podcast started paying for itself.
And
now at some point now it's paying for itself. To like, okay, fine, we don't have to actually spend our money. Then now it's like we're making a profit. And I mean, where we are now, it more than sustains itself. We have our production team, we have our social media manager, we have a PA, and all of that is sustained from income from the podcast and
that's
some
beautiful.
For us, exactly, which is a really, really great thing because we actually count ourselves very fortunate because there's not that many podcasts that have sponsors actually in this country. We also have gotten funding in the past twice from Spotify, which is great because we are one of the top podcasts in the country. So that has been fantastic. And all of those opportunities came to us, by the way. We're not the ones who went looking for them. When God decides to favor you, can I hear an amen?
Yeah, amen.
It's going to come no matter what. That favor is going to come no matter what. And that's why, as a content creator, you can't afford to just be there like, who is going to think what or whatever? Do you want money or not?
Do it.
Do you want impact or not?
Yeah.
You cannot want impact and influence and income and have fear at the same time. You just simply cannot. You have to choose a side because they cannot exist together. They just cannot exist together. So thankfully for Lydia and I, even as we've continued to make money, for both of us, we kind of only take money out when we decide, okay, you know what, let's treat ourselves. But for the most part, we both just invest in the podcast. We just invest back in the podcast. We started doing events a few years ago, although events don't really make you like so much money. Events, it's more of like you're just connecting with your audience, and it's just an opportunity for them to at least interact with you and an opportunity for you to interact with people face to face, at least, you know. But yeah, it's been working so great so far. We have never had like any serious fight or whatever. We actually just haven't. We operate from a place
that's a blessing.
Exactly.
But I think because you started with structure, you started with, hey, this is a business.
Exactly.
I think that really helped.
Yeah. And also our friendship kind of like underpins the working relationship.
Yes, is a big foundation.
Exactly. Is that
even in a marriage,
friendship's to always first assume the best of the other person. 100%. That even if you come at me, I know that wherever you're coming from, it's not from a bad place. I'm assuming the best. Even if I'm somewhere and I hear, oh, by the way, Lydia did X and Y and Z or said X and Y and Z, my first thought will just be like, I want to hear first from Lydia where she was coming from, because I won't just believe that she was somewhere saying something about me that, you know, is untoward or whatever. It's just, I assume the best of her and I believe that she does assume the best of me as well.
Makes sense. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. And I think that's very good information for people who are starting out because partnerships can be tricky.
Yes.
And I'm so happy yours has worked out.
Yeah. One more thing, let me add to that. Yeah. When you're working with someone and we have shoot days like maybe every 2 weeks, sometimes every week, it can feel like you're spending a lot of time with this person, but you're not actually spending time with this person because when you're together, you're working. So what we realized like a couple of years ago is like sometimes we'll be together. We have been together a lot, but we haven't actually spent time together. Yeah. So now we are really conscious to try and like create interactions or like moments which are not work related, like we're just hanging out, even though it's very hard because you can imagine we are constantly, every opportunity to create content, we're always like, yeah, but we try to like at least have time which is just like friendship time, just her and I, and it's not we are shooting and it's not, we are making reels
like
or whatever.
So good.
Yeah.
And that's so important even in the partnership of a marriage.
Exactly.
Because sometimes you go to the house, into the house, the kids are there, you think you're spending time together, but you're not.
That's
like
it
has to be intentional, getting out of that space.
Yes.
Where you're not talking about bills and school fees and everything else.
Exactly. And
That's
literally,
profound.
not taking care of that element of a relationship or friendship is literally what makes it die. Because now when the kids are gone and the
what
bills
is
are
left?
paid, it's like,
What's
okay.
left with the two of you?
Exactly.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
It does,
oh
yeah.
my goodness. I know I asked you what you're building and then you said, I don't know. But I think you probably have an idea. 3 to 5 years horizon. What do you see?
So I can say probably I have like maybe fragmented elements that I can see that I would love for it to be part of my future. One of them is I would love to like have a foundation that supports women, that helps women in a more structured way. I feel like right now, my platform, just naturally by the way I share and by the way that I interact with people and whatnot, I'm able to help women out of situations. We're able to, like, even when we speak to someone or we connect people to resources or whatever, it's usually like I can tell that we are helping people, but I would love to be able to have a foundation or something that has a more structured way that is able to contribute directly to people financially, with like things to do, especially with reproductive health, because I'm really passionate. My dad is a gynecologist, obstetrician. So I grew up around just, hearing, childbirth.
No, then I think I know where your candidness comes from then.
Yeah, exactly. And my dad used to talk to us about all those things, and he was very open about it.
So I don't think they're going to ask you things about your podcast then.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I don't think they will.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't think they will.
Actually, maybe today when I call them, I might ask them, do you guys know I have a podcast?
Yeah.
I'll let you know what they say.
Yeah.
I'll let you know what they say.
Let me know.
But yeah, we grew up hearing a lot of these things. And I saw so many women pass through his clinic. Some who I was just like, why does this person, do they have the information that they need? Do they have the resources they need? Do these women know you can go to a public health facility and get a free contraception? Do you know that this company is having free cervical cancer screening? Do they know? I'm really, especially just the reproductive health element, I would love to do more work around that and love to partner with more organizations that are able to support more women, especially women in poverty, because they're the ones who don't seem to know. Like the number of people who will watch our podcast and be like, oh, I didn't know that every time you have sex then mean that you don't have to have a baby every time you have sex. They're like literally the most basic form of reproductive health information. There are people who don't have it. We recently did an episode on like abortion, and the amount of feedback we got on that, the amount of women who reached out to us after that, like, was mind-blowing. Mind-baffling. People who would otherwise have put themselves in really dangerous situations in some back door somewhere, knowing that there are options. This is what the law says. This is where you can go to get help. This is what to do if you've been raped. This is where you can go, to be able to get assistance. It's like, yeah, that fills me up with, like passion, fire. So I definitely want to find a way to like structure it. Right now, the way I see my life though is like, because my kids are quite young, a lot of my time and my effort is spent on them.
Yeah.
So I'm careful because I already have the podcast, I have my platform, I have this. I really don't have any more space to add anything else without compromising the amount of care I'm able to give to them. And for me, really, they are my priority. Being able to drop them in school every day, pick them up when I can, go to every science fair and football thing and swimming and take them to where and birthdays, that really is my first and foremost priority. So anything else that is over and above that, it's like, yay, that's great, but this is really where my focus is. So maybe as they get older, I have more time, and then of course on top of that, my business, and then there's this. Hey, Wakikuyu, we're always hustling.
Yeah. You're actually doing clothes.
I was doing clothes. Now I do cosmetics.
No, you're doing cosmetics.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So you see, there's always something. Yeah, that's the thing. So I love money. I love looking for money, and I love having money and spending money on myself and on the people that I love. But at the same time, I know the things that matter to me. It's my family, it's my children, it's my friendships, it's my body, it's my mental health. And I'm always careful to like chunga that first and foremost before anything else.
That's important. That's important. Yeah. We're closing on this one. Okay. But has anybody ever told you and Lydia sound the same?
Yes.
Like so much the same.
Kwanzaa, now the more we've done the podcast, the more we sound the same. Yeah. You know, we even go places and people ask if we are
It's
sisters.
not even funny. Like
and we're like,
you
yeah.
sound the exact same.
Has she been on the podcast?
No, she hasn't yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
You call her?
beyond the brand,
Mm-hmm.
I am who? I am what?
Beyond the brand. Oh, wow. Is that why it's beyond the brand? Oh, wow. It's clocking to me.
Right.
Lovely. Beyond the brand, I am Murugi. I am Joanne, actually. A lot of people don't even know my first name is Joanne. My name is Joanne. Yeah. So whenever someone calls me Joanne, I know they know me. Murugi, sometimes I see it as like my online persona, but me as me, I'm just Joanne. I am just a person trying to figure life out, not someone who has it all together. Someone who also I wake up and I'm like, okay, do I want to go this side or this side? Okay, let me go this side. I know sometimes when people see me online, they're like, how do you just do things? Oh, everything just seems so easy for you. How come you make this seem so effortless? It really is not that. It really is just the grace of God and just trying to be slightly better every single day. But I also don't have everything figured out. I just try to pursue happiness. I would like to say, I try to always ask myself, does this feel good to me? Even when let's say you reach out and say, oh, we want to do this interview, I'm like, does that feel like something I want to do? Does that feel like a way I would like to spend 2 hours? Does this feel like, an activity I would like to, with every single thing? And that's why you always see, whenever I talk about something online, I talk about, oh, I want to buy a new car. Next month, I'll have a new car. Because for me, it's just like, I'm sitting in this one and I'm like, do I really feel good right now in this car? No, I don't. I want another one. And I'll go and get the other one, unless I have a limiting factor. It's like, is this something that feels good to me? I'm constantly asking myself that, because literally as an adult, why are you doing anything that you don't feel like doing? Yeah. Of course, it's like we are all trying to chase money, but in the ideal setting, you can also be chasing money as you are doing the things that you want to do.
I agree
if you're brave enough to follow that path. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. So 3 sips of truth. That's the segment we end with.
Sips of truth.
Yeah. Thank you. So, what is one truth you know about growth?
It is uncomfortable. Growth is always uncomfortable. There is no growth that comes without some level of discomfort. And being able to push past that discomfort is what enables you to keep growing. Yeah, 100%. It's much easier. It's much easier to stay where you are.
Yeah.
And so I understand, even when someone is like, they have been in this job 25 years, it's like, I get it. I'm not even judging you. It's a lot easier to stay where you are. But if you want to grow, you have to be willing to be uncomfortable.
I agree with you. What is the one lesson you have learned about visibility?
About visibility, it helps sell. Visibility helps you sell anything. It helps you sell your brand, helps you sell products, helps you sell services. It's a lot easier to promote your own agenda the more visible that you are. The more you grow your platform or your brand or whatever, the easier it is for you to lead and to make people do whatever it is you want them to do, to influence. Yeah.
I agree. And lastly, what is that one sentence you would have for somebody afraid to be honest, candid, and vulnerable?
In the online space?
Yes.
I would tell them, you can either choose to be afraid or you can choose to be rich. Can't be both of them. So by choosing to be afraid and to give into that fear, you're choosing poverty. And the day you decide you want money, you just have to. But it's not that people who now do the things that you see them doing, it means they're not afraid. Everybody has some element of fear. Anyone, even when I'm launching a business, I might not look afraid, but everybody has some element of fear. In fact, some element of fear is always healthy, because it's what keeps you sharp. It's what keeps you focused. It's what makes you, be able to like really think through things and be able to strategize. An element of fear is always important, but you cannot. If you're feeding the fear, you are not feeding your potential, and it simply cannot be both. Yeah. So, do you want to be rich? If you want to be poor, also it's okay. You can just be afraid. But if you want money, if you want to be rich, you're gonna have to put the fear aside.
Indeed. Thank you for coming. Thank you for sharing very generously. I really enjoyed this.
Thank you. I've also really enjoyed this conversation.
What did you enjoy most about this conversation?
You have a very calm energy. Me, I don't have a calm energy. If both of us were listening, we can be like, they're shouting. When you watch the podcast, you can see at some point we are both shouting. Everyone's hands are like this. I like your calm energy.
Thank you.
Yeah, my husband has the same also. We can be having a fight, but really I'm the only one fighting. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I really appreciate that calm energy.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. As always, this was Beyond the Brand, Moments That Made Us with me, Hannah G. Until next time, bye.